Hey guys, what's going on? Sincere here with whoissincere.com, Anon Radio Live, and the All Rights Matter show. Listen, guys, I haven't been posting up videos lately because I have a lot going on right now, and I'm trying to bring you guys some new things. You'll be seeing that shortly. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight about the primaries that are going on today. And just kind of discuss with you my position on the primaries and why I feel the way I feel about the primaries. So I have a lot of people ask me who I'm going to vote for, or what do I see happening during this election. So I'll take a few seconds to just address those things. The way that I see it is this: there's a few things that are wrong with our election system. One of the major things being the contributors and the special interest groups. That's a big problem. Um, in the past and currently, the special interest groups have been billionaire corporations and organizations that have given money to politicians to receive favors, in the future. Um, that's one of the biggest problems that I have with the election, is because that completely nullifies our voice as far as what we want as a people. Another problem that I have is primaries and general election. The way I see it is this: we're all American citizens. We're all Americans, whether you're talking about the congressman from your state, whether you're talking about the mayor, whether you're talking about the police commissioner, whatever you want to whatever position in government that you can think of, we're all Americans. None of those positions are foreign interest groups or anything like that. So, um, what I guess I can say is this: um, if you don't segment the Americans and you let us all go to the general election, whether it's the governor from your state or whatever other public positions I had just listed, and you let us all go to the general election to elect a candidate that started from the beginning and then ended at the general election, we would be selecting from, I don't know, 10, 15 different options. You run for presidency based on when you run out of money. I believe that it should be that way. When you run out of money, ideas, or the people just don't want you anymore. So this whole idea of the primaries, as far as pretty much it's sectioning people into thinking a certain way. You're either going to take this Democrat or you're going to take this Republican, and that is not helping us, because we're not getting for the beautiful country and the beautiful land that we live in a place with a lot of variety, but we're not getting a lot of variety in the general election. And I believe that some people that vote even in the primaries, they won't even go to the general election to vote, because in the primaries their person wasn't selected. And I'll give you an example. Kasich voters. Anybody that's going for Kasich or Carson or something like that. It just really is going to be what it's going to be. They're absolutely not going to win. But wouldn't it be a better thing if we allowed the politician to get all the way up to the general election without a primary vote, really? So this whole thing of electing twice, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. It's not necessary, and not every country does this. So if you really want to be honest about democracy, this is the primaries and the general election is a great way for those who are in power to skew, the presidency, to pretty much say, it takes away. Let me put it like this: it takes away your ability to even think outside the box. This is what happens: if there's 15, 20 people that you can decide from, and then it's narrowed down into 2 people that you can decide from. Well, all those great ideas and all those wonderful things that maybe the candidate Kasich was talking about, or some of the things that Carson was talking about, you can be almost about 100% guaranteed none of those things will happen underneath whoever the party's nomination is. Okay? So that means that Kasich's ideas will not translate into Trump's presidency. Okay? That also means that Sanders' ideas will not translate into Clinton's presidency. Okay? So we're having a breakdown of values in our country. Now, what the elite are able to do is they're able to keep pushing propaganda at you. Propaganda is brainwashing. Marketing is equivalent to brainwashing. That's why they call it programming. That's why they call it your daily programming, because you're being programmed to think and react a certain way. Okay, so if let's take 2015. If you take a candidate and you put all their dirty laundry out in the front in the beginning, and you do the same thing with, we'll say with Trump and with Clinton. You take all their laundry, you put it out there in the beginning, and then you don't talk about it anymore. Okay? So now the media has, well, they haven't put out all the laundry, but they've aired some of the dirty laundry from Clinton. They've aired some of the dirty laundry from Trump. They did it early on. They got it out of the actual election year itself. Since we have been in this year, the actual election year itself, we haven't heard anything about corruption about Hillary Clinton. We haven't heard anything about corruption from Donald Trump. And that's just how it's been. Now, what that means is you will get almost one complete year of marketing on behalf of Clinton and Donald Trump and not talking about their corruption, not even talking about their tie to one another. Listen to me closely. Their tie to one another. Okay? All these politicians are the same. All this voting for a party and all of this is BS. This is craziness. You have volunteers that are at these voting stations, and their main objective is to make sure that nobody votes for a Democrat. Or their main objective is to make sure nobody votes for a Republican. Are we being loyal to parties, or are we looking for a president? And that's a valid question. Because if there's somebody that's a candidate that goes under a party and doesn't even fit the description of that party, then how can the supporter of that party still uphold that same person? That's what we're watching with Donald Trump. We've seen Donald Trump support the Clinton Foundation, support Hillary Clinton and her husband. We've seen him support everything that's going on as far as these Democratic liberals are concerned. But now he wants to have a conservative viewpoint. And he's not succeeding at that, but the supporters have been so brainwashed by the repetitive nature that Donald is running as a Republican. This is going to be the Republican nomination. Donald is winning by a landslide. Donald has ads in these states. Donald this, Donald that, Donald this, Donald that. Okay? So now we're in a position where Donald Trump has been programmed into your brain. Clinton has been programmed into your brain. And it doesn't matter what other two candidates or what other few candidates are out there. The main ones have been programmed into your brain. Ted Cruz couldn't get media airtime to save his life. Same with Marco Rubio. The same with Bernie Sanders. When these guys get airtime, it's a very small amount of airtime. It's never focusing on what their actual policies are. It's just focusing on what the current quote-unquote beef is that they have with the front runners. Okay? So this is not the way that we would traditionally pick a president, and that's why I say that this system is falling into a fascist state, where it's all state-run media, and they're giving you the options, but they're skewing the options by brainwashing you through daily programming. So it doesn't matter whether the person is doing good or whether the person is doing bad. All it matters is that you keep hearing their voice and that you know that that is the contender. Okay? So the media has done a successful job at outlining who is going to be the main contenders and who is going to be the enemy. And then those who they don't want to talk about or they don't want to have a shot at getting the presidency, they just don't talk about them. That's the best way to do it. Instead of talk negatively about them, don't mention them at all. Because what happens in marketing, back to it again, it's about repetition. Okay, so you see Trump 2,500 times, you see Hillary Clinton 2,500 times compared to Carson, Cruz, and Rubio, and you see them collectively as a little small three-man group 250 times. So who's going to be more prevalent? The person with the 2,500 views or the person that's in the group of the people with the 250 collective views? That's what I'm talking about here. The prevalent person is going to be he or she that gets more airtime. That's what we're up against, guys. So I hope you can understand my views and opinions. No, I will not be voting. And that's just how I feel about it. I don't want to vote in a corrupt system. So tell me how you guys feel. Drop a comment below. Let me know how you feel about this whole thing, like just the presidential election, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders. Who's your pick? Are you guys picking and choosing? Do you guys see the corruption that's going on right before your eyes? I'm interested. I know what I see. I know how I feel. I know that primaries and general elections are nothing more than corruption forced in your face. So, let me also cover this one other thing. I don't want to get off of this yet. As a matter of fact, let me just say this. So, I was watching here, and I believe it was Catoosa County, Georgia. That's northern Georgia. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was watching, and they were talking about how the technology for voting has changed over the years. And if you remember back about, I don't know, some time ago when Bush was actually president. So there was a big thing with the voting machines and stuff like that, and his family being connected and linked to, the manufacturers of those machines, all that kind of stuff. Now, fast forward to 2016. This is what I'm going to say. One, there's not been one inkling, not one small little bit of talk about any kind of fraud or corruption with the voting machines. Two, I'm going to just put this out there, and I'm going to say it to you guys. There is no verifiable way to cast an electronic vote. Okay? You guys hear what I'm saying? There's no way that you and I can go verify that the vote is accurate. Well, why do you say that, Sincere? Let me explain. Paper ballots. Okay, the way that you would have to corrupt the system with paper ballots is to have a miscount. To have a miscount, you're going to have to corrupt the person, not the actual papers themselves. Okay, now you could do it that way, but you have more likelihood of getting caught. But you're going to want to corrupt the person themselves. Okay. Now, in corrupting the person, that corruption can be corrected rather quickly by the same system. Somebody else to recount that isn't that corrupt person, and there you go. The system is fixed. Now, digital voting. If you are casting a digital ballot and there is no paper trace of that digital ballot anywhere, okay, except for whatever main office or main server that it's going to, you have no idea what the algorithm that is running those ballot boxes or those digital polls, we should say. Okay, so we've been bombarded with polls throughout the last year about. Okay, now we're going to the election polls and to the voting booths, and we're filling out our information. And once you fill out your information, you walk out and you feel good. You feel like you just cast a vote, and you taught your kids a lesson, and you showed them that mommy and daddy could do it, and you can too, and it really matters. Well, what you don't understand is this. For anybody that's any kind of a half-good programmer, it's very easy to skew the algorithms for how the votes are counted, okay? And to hide that code so that every let's just give you an example. Every 5 votes for Cruz would give an automatic 2 votes for Donald. Every 3 votes for Rubio would give an automatic 1 vote for Donald. Every 2 votes for Hillary would give an automatic 1 vote for Donald. So Donald would be getting votes without even anybody voting for him. Excuse me. Now, I'm not saying that this is happening, this election, but this is what I'm telling you. If it is happening, you wouldn't know. You would have no idea. There's no way that you can prove it. There's no way that you can find out. There's no one that you can ask. Most of your governors, your mayors, your congressmen, people like that, these people have no idea of anything in information technology. It's a blind trust for the system that is literally corrupting us. You don't know the algorithms. You don't know the programmers. You don't know who owns the company that's monitoring the voting. None of this. So how could any of it really be that real when you're not really that informed? That's how I feel about the elections. That's how I feel about primaries and general elections. Okay? So it's all a big show. It makes for a lot of public interaction, a lot of moving around. Psyops from the government are able to take place as far as how the people are thinking and feeling during this time. And all of that is ignored because no one's paying attention to that. They think they all have a stake in selecting the new president, not understanding that it's a divided system everywhere you turn. Okay? So, you know, we live in a country now where everybody can't even vote. If you've ever been to jail or you have a felony or anything like that, you're not even considered a U.S. citizen anymore. You can't even go vote for your next president just simply because you've been to jail. Maybe it was something as simple as shoplifting. But shoplifting could have landed you some hard time for, you know, a year of hard time and 4 years of probation. Now, for the rest of your life, you are ineligible to vote for a United States president. You're ineligible to make a decision in the country regarding your children's future. Is that the kind of system that we deserve? So that's how I'm showing you guys that this is corrupt from the top up to the bottom, from the bottom up to the top. It's all corrupt all the way around. And, you know, folks are going to ask me, well, how do we get it back? How do we, you know, get back to good days where we could, you know, get rid of primaries and have a general election, and in the general election, you know, if there's 5-6 people up there that are running, whoever the winner of that general election will be your next president. How do we get back to those good old days? Well, first of all, I don't know when they were. I'd have to do some research on that. Second of all I can say is getting back to, you know, or getting to a situation like that is going to require you not participating in a situation like this. The more people that participate in this election process, the more real it is. Okay? You have to tell your government that you know that this isn't real. You have to let your government know that you know that there's corruption behind the scenes. Okay? You have to demand better from the government. You know, the Constitution wasn't written for our rights. I know people are going to holler and yell at me for that. But the Constitution was written so we could limit the rights of our government, or limit the use of our government. Okay? That's why the Constitution was written, so it could limit government intervention within our personal lives. All right? So if you have a state-run media that's working on behalf of the government, and they're in your house every day and giving you propaganda every day that you pay $150 a month for on your cable bill, then isn't that corruption? Isn't that the very definition of corruption? You can't balance the system. You can't check the system. But yet their loyalty is to the state. So that's what we're up against, brainwashing and corruption. Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, they're the same person. They will have the same goals. It will be the same outcome. There are many paths to the same outcome. Sanders, guess what? I don't go for him either. He's probably the best pick because of, you know, you could just look at his track record and see he's always been a good guy and has always followed through on his word and has been just a solid all-around man. Okay, a solid all-around man. Where if you look at all of the rest of these people, Hillary would make a wonderful woman president if she wasn't so corrupt. Donald Trump would make an amazing business executive president if he wasn't so corrupt. Okay, that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at. Collectively, maybe all of them will make one good president. But the only one I see really making a good impression on my heart and on my soul is Bernie Sanders, because he's being the most honest, the most forthcoming about everything that he wants to do, and his track record proves that. I've tried to do a report on him to just find something to write interesting about Bernie Sanders that would be, a little juicy or whatever, and I'm not really finding anything. I'm just going to be honest with you, and I'm great at what I do, so. For me not to find anything on this guy, it's pretty interesting to me. But I still can't endorse him because based on his policies, I'm not with the Paris Agreement and stuff like that. This whole this carbon emissions tax, this is going to be the death of our society as we know it. This is only going to trickle down to the middle class and the poor households. So for Bernie not to understand that one key function of what the Paris Agreement was about as far as this carbon tax and how that's not going to affect just corporations, but regular families as well, it tells me that Bernie, he knows a lot, but he probably still has a long way to go as far as understanding how new international and global policies are going to affect the business strategies here at home. So that's my view, guys. Hope you guys love it. But if you don't, that's okay too. Leave me a message below. Let me know what you guys think. Stay alert, stay alive.